Good morning, everybody, or maybe good afternoon now. Welcome to the session. As Tim said, I'm Matt Champion. I'm the Customer Innovation Director here at SAP. And in my part-time role, I'm also a Search Inside Yourself and a mindfulness teacher at SAP. And today we're going to talk to you about the why, the what, and the how of mindfulness, and how we at SAP are bringing mindfulness into our organization. And I'm also really very pleased to welcome Parham from Jaguar Land Rover to join me here today to talk about how Jaguar Land Rover are also approaching this subject. So welcome, Parham.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Great. So I think what we want to share with you today is not only the subject of mindfulness, but also the why. So I'm part of the senior leadership team in Jaguar Land Rover, developing assistant and automated driving. So you can imagine it's a very complex product we are trying to develop. And with that complexity comes also a lot of complexity in the organization. And really where this comes from is also related to the whole ecosystem and the whole social and economical environment we are currently living in. So if you're looking at what is currently going on, so really you can say that the world is accelerating, and it's accelerating not only from a technological standpoint, but also simply when you're looking at the economics, right? So on one side, you have technology. Technology is growing, and it's growing exponentially because technology interconnects with each other. Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, blockchain, edge computing, all these things come together, they grow exponentially. So the acceleration of technology is really dramatic, as we can see it today. We're moving towards what's called now Industry 4.0. So we moved from steam, water-powered machines, electricity and assembly lines to where we are today, which is automation and computation. Now we're moving in an age where we are using even more technology to kind of power our industry. At the same time, regulations, legal requirements around sustainability are getting even more important because we have to make sure that we get for the future generations, we get it right. At the same time, economy is growing. Yeah, of course, there is a little bit of a downturn at the moment, but as you can see in the graph, the economy, the trade is growing globally. At the same time as companies, traditional companies, as you can imagine, automotive industry exists for over 100 years. You're now challenged with new players coming into the market, and they're coming really fast. The entry barriers for somebody to enter the automotive sector are so low as never before. Yeah? An electric vehicle today is composed of only 1/3 of the components of a traditional internal combustion engine. So that is a challenge for us because we only not have to compete with them, but actually we have to collaborate with new players as well. And then obviously, as I said, and I'm probably in the forefront of this, the product's getting even more complex. Yeah? Automated driving, self-driving cars, fully connected products are really a challenge for us. So this is where I think now the subject of mindfulness starts to get really interesting, because we are looking for a tool which helps not only the leaders but also our employees when they want to grow and they want to be more agile, they want to really adapt to this transformation, this change we are experiencing in our industry.
And on this same line, we talk a lot in SAP about a VUCA world. And it's a term that we've borrowed from the military: volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. The world, I'm sure I'm seeing a few nodding heads, often feels like that. The pace of change, Jens said it this morning, has never been so fast and will never be so slow again. And we're, as humans, kind of caught up in that and expected to deal with that. So actually, it kind of leads us on to talking about our always-on culture. And I'm sure you'd agree that there is the expectation from us in business to always be on. There's this kind of unwritten rule that we must always be switched on, we must always be accessible, and we must always be checking emails. We've never faced so many distractions in our lives as humans. Text messages, emails, notifications, social channels, collaboration sites. There's just a plethora of things out there that distract our attention constantly. So, worryingly enough, the research shows that actually 47% of our time is spent mind-wandering. So we're thinking about what we're doing after the conference or what we did last week, or we're worrying about a meeting that didn't go so well yesterday, instead of actually being here right now. Now, I know you're all here right now with me because I can see you all looking and you're all listening and you can hear us clearly, but we're often distracted. Our minds are in the past or in the present, in the future. Very often, we're not actually in this present moment right now. More worryingly, 70% of leaders in this study actually reported that they were regularly unable to be attentive in meetings. Quite alarming. Don't beat yourself up if you think you might be one of those in the audience today. It's quite normal to actually face that level of distraction. Sometimes even when you're in a really good meeting, you can face distraction. We're lucky actually in the UK. So talking about research, there's a lot of research being done into mental health and well-being in the workplace. Parham and I are both members of the Mindfulness initiative, and this group actually works in the private sector looking at how we can incorporate mindfulness into the private sector. And our sister group is also the all-party parliamentary group, which looks after advising government on how mindfulness can play a part in society. Maybe Parham can say a little bit more about that because you're the chair of the Mindfulness Initiative.
I think that's a really interesting finding. So the government did some research around the subject, and in 2009 they came to the conclusion that the UK is a knowledge economy, meaning that we don't have the quantity of people throwing on problems to solve them or build new projects and programs. So really what we have to therefore nurture is the mental capital of our people, right? And the UK government takes it really, really serious. It's one of the highest priorities on the agenda. And out of this study, they then built what is called the Mindfulness UK report. And one of the work streams there is to look at mindfulness in the workplace. Now, what we will explore today is, of course, there are a lot of kind of health benefits and well-being benefits, which is really, really great. But at the same time, we are seeing the abilities for people to collaborate better, right? Because collaboration takes a lot of mental resources to listen to each other, really consume the requirements, instead of saying, oh, I know what that person wants, I just go away, develop that solution, and turns out it's wrong, I've wasted so much time and money on it. Collaboration is a really important aspect. Creativity and innovation. We see that a lot of people, especially in the design space, they're missing out on really taking the time because they're fragmented, right? They think about the emails they're having, they're thinking about the meetings they need to be, instead of focusing in the critical phases of designing a product. That can be a software product, that can be the design, the shape, the beauty, the aesthetics of a car. And these are really critical times where you have to be focused and present instead of being all over the place, right? And then lastly, performance, right? Because when I'm able to be present, I'm able to perform better. So the results are getting better as well. So beside the very nice, fluffy kind of benefits we are seeing, we're actually seeing this delivers also against the bottom line.
And maybe, Parham, you could move on to talk a little bit about, we talked about the why of mindfulness. What is it? What actually is it? And what is it all about?
Yeah, right. So if you look at the definition of mindfulness, and I'm trying to explain it to you really. So for me and for us, the definition for mindfulness, it's about a mindset. It's about, if you like, an attitude you adopt. And it's all about being present in the moment, still non-judgmental and curious. Yeah. So being present in the moment on purpose, it's all about we are here for a reason, right? I'm at work for a reason. I'm there to deliver a product for my customers. I'm there to deliver a service, deliver a good. So we are there with a purpose. If I miss that point, that will not come back. Yeah. If I'm in a meeting with somebody of my employees in a one-to-one, and I'm not present, I'm not paying attention to their challenges, their issues, how am I able to perform? So I'm not only wasting their time, but I'm also wasting my time, right? So this is really a skill we are trying to give to leaders and employees for them to perform better.
And I think I'd add to that by saying that some people get mindfulness a little bit wrong, and they think it's about just zoning out and relaxing. And yes, it does bring those benefits. It does help with reducing stress, reducing anxiety, promoting a state of happiness, but it also helps you with resilience and focus as well. So it really helps you to be present and actually focus on what you are doing, both in a personal context and also in a professional context as well. So we're going to be a little bit bold here, and for those of you that would like to try this, we're going to spend just 2 minutes just to allow you to experience a very short exercise. And you don't need to do anything in particular. There will be a few bits of guidance that I'm going to give you. So we're going to invite you just to try a very short mindfulness meditation exercise with us. So what I invite you to do is to put down any phones, laptops, notebooks, anything that's kind of on your lap. Find a comfortable position, both feet firmly planted on the floor, and put your hands just in a comfortable position, wherever's comfortable for you, up, down, wherever you like. And you want to sit kind of in a relaxed but yet alert position. So back straight, kind of up, maybe not leaning back into the chair. And then if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. I'll tell you when to reopen them. Or you can have your eyes just slightly looking downward in front of you. And just for the next couple of minutes, we invite those of you that would like to try this just to have a go. So we invite you to notice your body. How does it feel to be sitting? Notice your feet. Notice your shoulders. Now take 3 deep breaths from the belly. How do you know that you are breathing? With your attention, can you follow one complete cycle of breath? The in-breath, the out-breath, and the space in between. Just see if you can be open, curious, and interested. Perhaps as though you're noticing your breath for the first time. If your mind wanders, gently acknowledge that and bring back your attention to the experience of breathing again. And let's just rest there for a moment. And then I welcome you to open your eyes and come back to us. Maybe have a bit of a stretch, move around, get yourself comfortable again. I'm seeing some smiling faces, so that's good. It's always difficult to do it in this kind of environment, but part of it is actually understanding the environment you're in and noises and other things that are going on. So we don't always meditate in a completely silent space. So, hopefully you enjoyed that and got to experience that a little bit. So Parham, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about how mindfulness is working at Jaguar Land Rover.
Right. So I think, interestingly, we're doing it now since roughly end of 2014, and it's currently the most popular and the most in-demand program. And beside getting a lot of awards and a lot of attention, it really helps the people. Yeah? And the most important thing for me is it helps people on so many different levels. Yeah. Of course, it's a workplace, so we have to make it accessible. Yeah. We can't just, people can't just wander away when they have to solve problems or when they have to go into meetings. So it has to be as accessible as possible. And I think there is a portfolio of things you can do, right? There is kind of more intensive programs linked to actual research, which you can conduct as well to really give people anonymous reports about, what difference it makes on their error rates, on their focus, on their personal and mental well-being as well. So for us, it's all about, it has to be done in context, right? Mm-hmm. I talked about my area, obviously it's the most thought after area with autonomous driving. We have, very, very skilled people in our environment, software engineers, machine learning engineers, data scientists, and so on. Anybody who's engaging with us, there is a lot of information and data they have to consume and consequently create an outcome. Right? So we're looking at the disruptive trends our industry is going to. We're looking at the perceived stress, because again, stress is just a perception, right? If you get an email, somebody is commenting on your software code, It's your perception, how you react to that, saying, well, that's really obvious, right? Why didn't that person get it? Or actually, you look at your code and think, oh, okay, maybe I should simplify it a little bit, right? So these are all perceptions. We want to work with people to make sure that the end product for the customer is even better. Of course, complexity plays a huge role. Imagine previously you just own a little commodity, a component, right? And you deliver that component together with your partner and suppliers. Today, you as a component engineer has to interact with so many different stakeholders you have never done before. And this only in a short period of around 5 years, right? That wasn't that case previously. So we take all these things into account, and with our mindfulness program, we then not only deliver individual improvements, but the individual improvements, and here I really invite you to be a little bit selfish, because individual improvements then lead to organizational improvements, right? So as each of the individual actors plays better, right, focuses better, plays more nice, has more empathy with the people around them, then we as a collective have a much better outcome. And as I said, the recommendation from the people who are attending this is phenomenal. Interestingly, when you just attend the first session, you come out and around, I would say 80% say, yeah, that was really good, but you still have 20% who say, nah, wasn't really sure about it. But as they do the practice over time, and you don't need to do it every day or very, very stringently, they then turn around and that number of people who then say, yeah, I'm still not sure, reduces to only 2%. So we have an approval rate of 98%. And we do no marketing, it's just word to mouth. Right? So people tell each other, people tell their managers, and the managers tell their teams. So that really makes it really exciting, and the feedback is really inspiring as well for us.
Wow, thank you. And I think I might have mentioned this before, but Parham and I met through the Mindfulness Initiative. So we share the very same principles about bringing mindfulness into business. In SAP, we've taken a similar approach, but we've actually worked with a leadership institute called Search Inside Yourself. And I want to share just a quick bit about how we at SAP have been doing this and how we've developed one of the world's largest corporate mindfulness practices. So we are very fortunate in SAP to have a global director of mindfulness. He does it full-time. German guy called Peter Bosterman. He's based in Palo Alto in California, but travels around the world. And Peter went on a Search Inside Yourself course, which was developed by a software engineer at Google called Chade-Meng Tan. This course actually combines emotional intelligence, neuroscience, and mindfulness into a 2-day experiential course. And this is what Search Inside Yourself is about. Chade at Google actually designed this course for Google employees to begin with, and now Search Inside Yourself has become a not-for-profit organization, and we partner with them to provide the curriculum and the content into our course. It's become actually one of the most, well, it is similar to Jaguar Land Rover, is the most popular internal course that we have. It spreads by word of mouth. We don't push it to people. It's an invitation. People come out of the course and recommend it to other people. This has been something that we've been measuring as well. So we talk about the practice actually leading to improved well-being, satisfaction, focus, creativity, and lower stress. And how do we know that? Well, we've had nearly 8,000 people go through the program, and for those that have agreed to it, we've actually looked at they've self-assessed themselves before the course, 4 weeks after the course, and 6 months after the course. And we've seen positive improvements in all of these areas. So we've actually been measuring these results, and we're not allowed to talk about detailed numbers, but we have published the fact that we've seen a 200% return on investment on this program. We have 40 teachers globally, like myself, who actually teach the course, and it's just been a phenomenal success. And we've even started helping other customers with their journeys as well. So I'd just like to round up, or I'd just like to let Parham round up with what are our kind of key messages and takeaways to you.
Right. I think the most important thing, or the most success I have seen, is if it's not just, done because somebody thinks it's a cool thing to do. So it has to be done with a purpose, right? So you have to have a problem you want to solve. For us, for example, the ability to collaborate, the ability to really produce products, features which are relevant for the customer, which requires our guys to really listen in and work together. So you have to first find really like-minded people. Yeah. And don't be afraid even to engage with people who are critical in the first place. In fact, these are the most interesting guys. Because once they see the research and the difference, they will be your biggest allies to then join you to bring that message across. And this is how it really works for us. Start small. Yeah? Don't think, oh, let's do this big bang, CEO-driven initiative. Just start small, and you will see it takes maybe a little bit more time, but the grassroots approach for this is so much more successful than you just make it the next big thing for the quarter. Right? That was for me really important, to just start small. As I said, use the business drivers, KPIs to do that, and then work with the right partners. The initiative, the Mindfulness Initiative, trying to help businesses to find these right partners, because you can't just look at it and say, it works in that company, I'm sure it will work for us as well. So you need to work with people who use research and neuroscience around that as well.
Thank you, Parham. So we've given you a bit of a whistle-stop tour of mindfulness in business. We'd like to thank you for your attention and trying out that little experiment with us. We don't really have any time for questions at this point, but we're more than happy to catch up with anyone afterwards. And thank you for your attention, and may you be happy.